Who? You know, for being the most famous video game series of all time, there sure are a lot of Mario games that make you go like, oh yeah, well, that is a mainline game. For example, whatever the fuck this is. Super Mario Galaxy 2? What, is that French for what the fuck is a Super Mario Galaxy 2? All right, now when I say forgotten, I don't actually really mean like forgotten, like, you know, okay. Who forgot about this game? The joke online is that nobody forgot this game except for Nintendo, who like denied its existence for a couple of years there. But that's just the thing. I kind of want to talk about the 3D Marios that just don't really get the same kind of attention that many of the others do. And I kind of want to explain why I think that is. So, for example, let's start off Super Mario Galaxy 2. It's not that this one never really got its flowers. For a while there, it was considered like one of the best games of all time. Hell, it's still considered one of the best games of all time. What shot this game in the foot was Mario's 35th anniversary. Nintendo held this big celebration and they showcased all these different Mario games. And even since then, Nintendo's put out all this kind of merchandise and showcased all of these different mainline Mario games in various different ways, and Galaxy 2 is almost always missing. You know, the fact this game was not included with Mario 3D All-Stars was definitely a little funky, but I mean, like, I don't know. I guess it kind of made sense. You have the first 3 3D Mario games all in that collection, and they're all very distinct from each other. You know, you include Mario Galaxy 2, and then half of that damn package is Mario Galaxy. And I guess whenever Nintendo showcases like a bunch of old Mario games and promotional material, many times they don't even show off Mario Galaxy 2 for some reason. Now, I feel like it's probably because like Mario Galaxy 1 was the game available on Switch. Even if, you know, it was for a limited time, since 3D All-Stars was a limited time product, but, you know, Galaxy 2 was not readily available on their modern platform, and to an extent, Galaxy 1 and Galaxy 2 look pretty much damn near identical, so I think you kind of get the gist just showing Mario Galaxy 1. But then that brings up, why wasn't this game available on Switch 1? Well, I do think it has to primarily do with the fact that the controls in this game do more heavily rely on the pointer of the Wii Remote. And let me tell you, Mario Galaxy 1 on Nintendo Switch was definitely doable, but that damn pointer, man, I mean, like, it was just annoying to use. Definitely playable, but annoying. You know, on the original Mario Galaxy on Wii, I never had to worry about the pointer going out of sync or anything like that. But on Switch, oh man, it added a whole new layer to the gameplay. My frustration. Now, with Mario Galaxy 2 introducing Yoshi into the mix, a big part of Yoshi's gameplay is using the Wii Remote pointer to select things with Yoshi's tongue. And yeah, with the gyroscope of the Switch Joy-Con, probably that would work. But I think at the end of the day, they thought, one, Mario 3D All-Stars works just fine with the first 3 games. We don't need to put in a 4th one just because. And 2, the controls, while definitely doable with the gyro of the Joy-Con, like, I guarantee you, it would have been fine. It probably wasn't as fine as the gyro of the Joy-Con in Mario Galaxy 1, so they're probably like, you know what? It's fine. Which is a damn shame, because Mario Galaxy 2, get this, is pretty damn good. Mario Galaxy 1 will forever be my favorite game of all time. You know, like, that just hit at just the right time of me as a kid. You know, just this magnum opus of the Mario franchise. It felt so impactful and so damn epic and cool and beautiful and so fun. But I didn't play Mario Galaxy 2 until years later. When I did, I went, hot damn, the title doesn't lie. It's the best game ever, too. It's definitely a fair thing to call this just more Mario Galaxy. I mean, that was actually like the in-development title of it. It was Super Mario Galaxy more. But they definitely did quite a few things differently, much like how I'm gonna do things differently by interrupting this to talk about somebody who paid us. Gosh. I wish I was in front of something green right now. Thanks, Storyblocks, for that and paying me to sponsor this video. Storyblocks is the ultimate stock footage, image, and sound collection for all you video editing goblins out there. You get unlimited downloads of diverse and high quality media for just one predictable subscription cost. Everything here is authentic stock content created by real artists. Storyblocks' restock collections celebrate the human experience, capturing stories and emotions that AI can't replicate. Storyblocks has made my life editing video so much breezier. I've been subscribed to them for years and they've always helped streamline my workflow, offering thousands of templates, effects, and media to enhance hundreds of the videos I've created. I love Storyblocks. And yes, I was paid to say that, but I'd say it for free. I swear. I've paid them for 5+ years to use their service. Now they're paying me. Circle of life. It's poetic, isn't it? To get started with unlimited stock content for one set price, head to storyblocks.com/stash or click the link in the description. All right, you still here? Okay, cool. Well, while Mario Galaxy 2 is sort of more of the same from Mario Galaxy 1, it also isn't. Both Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 are linear games. I mean, as a kid, I didn't realize Mario Galaxy 1 was as linear as it was. It really did feel kind of like as open and wide as Mario 64, even though it definitely isn't. I think I just always honed in on the Honey Hive Galaxy and just feeling like that felt like a next-gen version almost of like Bob-omb Battlefield from Mario 64, which is just kind of silly at the end of the day. I mean, like, what do these things have in common? Grass. But think about how linear and straightforward Mario Galaxy 1 is, and just take it to the next level with Galaxy 2. Galaxy 1's levels are definitely kind of like fake open. You know, like they look a lot bigger and more expansive than they are, but in reality, they are pretty much a straight shot to the end. Galaxy 2, like, there's no fooling there. It's mostly just like, hey, boom, here's a straight shot to the end, buddy. Very much kind of trying to make 2D Mario-esque levels within a more traditional 3D Mario game, which was very interesting. Really does make for an interesting duology with Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, because they're both pretty similar, but they have their differences, which will definitely make you kind of prefer one over the other, but you'll probably either way love both. But wouldn't you know, this wasn't the only more linear 3D Mario that was not included in the 3D All-Stars celebration. Super Mario 3D Land. I already forgot this game. All right, this genuinely may be one of the more forgotten 3D Marios. Galaxy 2 is kind of like a jokey, haha, oh yeah, wow, it's so forgotten. No, this one is genuinely fairly forgotten, which is a shame, but it's also like, not. It does kind of make sense why this one is generally one of the lesser 3D Marios, one that, you know, not many people are talking about these days. Because fundamentally, 3D Land is a very by-the-numbers Mario game. But that was kind of its point, you know, as much as Galaxy 2 was sort of kind of taking 2D Mario-esque design elements and putting that more in like the 3D Mario, the Mario Galaxy format. Super Mario 3D Land was trying to take a step further and trying to create a new type of 3D Mario that played pretty much identically to a new Super Mario Brothers game. You know, this game fundamentally has like 2D Mario levels, but you can just move in 3 dimensions. It's not like how it was back in like Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, or anything like that. You know, there is still exploration. Mario is all about exploration, but definitely not in the same way. The goal of these levels isn't to explore them, it's to just get to the end, buddy. Jump on the flagpole. They brought back the flagpole in this game. In fact, they brought back a lot of things, specifically this freak of nature. The return of the Tanuki leaf, because back in 2011 when this game released, that was right when a lot of these bigger game companies started to catch on to the fact that all these people online were talking about how great retro gaming was and how Mario 3 was the greatest thing ever because of the Tanuki suit. Pretty nuts when they first revealed this game at like GDC 2011. The tail was like the biggest thing about it. They showed like this tentative logo that was like, oh, Super Mario, and then they put the little Tanuki tail at the end of the O, and they were like, hey, yo, check it, bitch. That was kind of this game's whole identity, was the fact that they brought back this one power-up for Mario 3. And it's not even the same power-up. Okay, so it's the Tanuki suit in Mario 3D Land, and the Tanuki suit back in Mario 3 you would turn into a statue. And that was in addition to the main power you got with the Tanuki suit, which was pretty much the exact same as Raccoon Mario. You know, you can fly, you can bat things with your tail. You can kind of slowly hover down from falling. In Mario 3D Land, you can't fly, and you can't turn into a statue until the post-game. It just makes me question, why bring this back if it's not even, it's not the same power-up. It does like half the things the power-up in Mario 3 did. You know, for being such a forgotten 3D Mario, 3D Land is honestly one of the more important ones. You know, every Nintendo console, it feels like they need their big mainline brand new Mario title to really sell you on it. Mario 3D Land was really kind of like what the 3DS needed because, you know, infamously the 3DS back in 2011 when it first launched, it really struggled for a bit there because it just did not have enough really quality must-have titles. But then Mario 3D Land hit in November, Mario Kart 7 launched a month later. That's exactly what the system needed. And Mario 3D Land got incredible reviews at the start. This was heralded as like this amazing, super innovative game. Like, oh my God, this is one of the best Marios ever. Mostly came down to this game's use of stereoscopic 3D. To this day, it may be one of the very few 3DS games where 3D is much more required than usual. I'm not gonna say it's necessary in this game. There are a couple of times in this game where, you know, the way they design things is specifically, you know, an illusion. You know, if you don't put the 3D slider up on the 3DS, it's really hard to judge distance and understand things. A lot of it does kind of seem like one of those like magic eye pictures where, you know, it's meant to be disorienting. But that's only a couple instances in this game, you know, like certain puzzle rooms and whatnot. And those looking back on them, I mean, like they're cute, I guess, but they really feel like they're more so there just to dick around with you, to just kind of show you like, hey, look, the 3DS does wonders, doesn't it? It's just like, bro, you're causing these limitations yourself. You're specifically designing this thing to be disorienting without 3D. The 3D, like I said, it ain't necessary, but during normal gameplay, it is definitely easier to judge your jumps and jump on enemies and figure that out. For the most part, other 3D Mario games before this kind of had to figure out other ways to kind of get around, you know, fighting enemies. They gave Mario a punch in Mario 64, you know? You had the spin in Mario Galaxy. You had the flood pack in Mario Sunshine, which let you pretty much hover in the air to kind of nudge yourself exactly where you want to land. Mario 3D Land, using the stereoscopic 3D screen, definitely doesn't have that problem nearly as much. So, yeah, you know, it definitely did kind of help to prove the worth of the 3DS, both as a game console and its gimmick of a glasses-free 3D display. Well, this game sounds absolutely goddamn incredible. Why does nobody talk about it anymore? Because, like, what, do you think I had fun just explaining that all to you? Nah, man, I was getting pushed to my limits. What the hell is there to really say about this game anymore? Listen, I really love Mario 3D Land, but more from like a nostalgic perspective and just kind of like a nice, like, comfort food, kind of junk food kind of game. Not that it's bad at all, like it's a very quality game, but when you compare it to all the 3D Marios around it, you know, what followed, what preceded it, yeah, this is one basic ass Mario game, man. I mean, just the fact, this game's main selling point is a power-up returning. Who gives a shit? I mean, at the time, it was like, oh boy, it's finally returning because, yeah, come on, the Tanuki suit, Raccoon Mario, yeah, that was one of the best Mario power-ups. It was so amazing to fly around. Even though you can't goddamn fly in this game. It wouldn't have made sense. It doesn't make sense with Mario 3D Land's design, but that just makes me question even harder, why bring back the flying power-up? But the aesthetic in this game is very much just, oh, blocks, colored blocks, floating platforms in the air, bubbly colors, classic Mario, like that. There's not much there. There's not really a ton of character Mario 3D Land has. That's at least unique to itself. It has character. I mean, like, there's a ton of cute things. The fact that you have all these 2D Mario drawings in there. You know, you got the Tanuki leaf tree at the beginning. Then that later appeared in Mario Odyssey in the Mushroom Kingdom. That is basically one of this game's biggest achievements. But outside of the fact that this game is just a very basic Mario game. You also have Mario 3D World that followed. And while in some ways, 3D Land, it's definitely a little weird with 3D World being not in stereoscopic 3D, but it still maintains the same gameplay as 3D Land. So it feels weird to have like a sequel to this game, a game built entirely around being played in 3D, having a sequel not do that is a little odd. It's still definitely the better game. I mean, 3D World has so much more going on. And it should tell you something when 3D World is already often criticized for being kind of bland. Definitely by people like me. I mean, I really love 3D World at this point. Obviously, like me and it have gone through the fucking dirt, let me tell you. Hated it, loved it, hated it, loved it. But at this point, I feel pretty confident in saying 3D World is a phenomenal game. It's a great, more linear 3D Mario. And it definitely has just a lot more going on, way more power-ups, cool level designs, even just the multiplayer, all the extra characters, just so much more going on in 3D World than in 3D Land. 3D Land is still good, but 3D World is like the one to play. Honestly, after playing 3D World, going back to 3D Land, it almost feels really claustrophobic. The levels are so tiny in this game, with just not a lot going on in them. And honestly, it's one of those games that, like, if you've already played 3D World, I mean, there's not a ton you're missing out on in 3D Land. Maybe just seeing the game in 3D, I mean, that's kind of cool, but I don't really think it's gonna wow you like it might have back in 2011. I think it would definitely be really cool if this game got a re-release at some point. Just because it is a fun game to just kind of blast through, 3D World is definitely a bit longer, like it definitely goes all over the place, has all these different ideas, different level themes, cool things going on all the time. 3D Land, you know what? It's nice to have kind of a more mindless game like this sometimes. So I think it would definitely be really cool to see this one again, but it is also definitely like just not very necessary to play this one. I love this game, but that love is definitely kind of a little biased. Well, damn, I'd say these are both forgotten for basically two completely different reasons. This one's forgotten just because Nintendo didn't want to acknowledge it for a while, for just because I guess they just didn't really want to complicate things. They were just like, yeah, screw it. Just if we're gonna show off Mario's past, just focus on Galaxy 1. That's all you really need to worry about. And then this one's forgotten, because it was forgotten. Well, let's complete that trilogy here, which, could make for one weird-ass Mario 3D All-Stars 2 collection. Mario 64 DS, yeah. I mean, yeah, if they included all of these in 3D All-Stars, that would be kind of cool. But I would almost bring down the collection quite a bit. How the hell do you present this in a way that doesn't look as hell? Like, how would this look in a 3D All-Stars-esque collection? What would they, like, remake it? Would they smooth out the graphics? Would it look like playing the game on like the Wii U Virtual Console? Who knows, man? And this one's a weird one, being considered one of the mainline 3D Marios, because, it is, but it isn't. A remake of Mario 64. I grew up with this game. I thought it was like one of the coolest damn games ever. I made a Scott the Woz episode on it, and I pretty much explained in that I like this game, but I also don't. It does so many cool things, but all those cool things, what the hell do they amount to at the end of the day? This version is awesome because it ran on the DS. It was Mario 64 in your pocket. And damn, they did a damn good job translating it. Like, by and large, it was Mario 64. Now, the problem is, by and large, it was Mario 64. Yeah, of course, when you're on the DS and you only have a D-pad right there, that's kind of this game's fatal flaw, is the fact that at its core, it's a game designed for an analog stick. It was designed in tandem with the analog stick. It was meant to show off analog control. And then the way you control it is with this thing. Of course, you do have other options. You can use the touch screen, which gives you analog movement, but who the hell wants to do that? Do you want to control Mario with a fucking touch screen, you creep. Now, this version technically does have new content, but a lot of that new content just doesn't really amount to much at the end of the day. You know, like, there's more power stars to collect in this game, but how many of those are actual, like, legitimately, like, oh, wow, this is some brand new content? A lot of it ends up being, like, these silver star missions where you're just collecting, you know, an assortment of silver stars in the level. They're basically just red coins again. There's a multiplayer mode, and it's worthless. It was cute back in the day, but there's no reason to play it anymore. It's literally just like a minute-long battle royale to see who can collect the most stars, and you know, you can just beat a star out of somebody. And the way it works, it's so broken. It's so dumb. It was definitely just kind of like there to showcase multiplayer in Mario 64 at the DS launch. But other than that, there's no substance to it, which is kind of like what this is at the end of the day. Mario 64 DS, many consider it to be the definitive version, and I definitely understand why. But for me personally, I find it to be an insanely cool version of Mario 64. You know, if you play it, you're playing Mario 64 for sure. But yeah, the way it controls is not ideal, and the added content, while it's cool, most of it at the end of the day, when I actually take a look at what the content is, doesn't amount to much. I think it's really neat to have all these extra playable characters, and the mini games included in Mario 64 DS are God. But at the end of the day, Mario 64 DS is mostly a crowning jewel of a technical showcase to me, and a neat novelty, but that's about it at the end of the day. Everybody, this is what I consider to be the forgotten 3D Marios. This one is the least forgotten. It's just kind of funny to call it forgotten. This one, I would genuinely say, is probably the most forgotten, and this one barely counts as a mainline 3D Mario. It's a variant of an already existing mainline 3D Mario. But yeah, when we talk about mainline 3D Mario games, these ones are generally kind of like a little more off to the side. You know, it's mostly about Mario 64, Sunshine, Galaxy, maybe 3D World, Odyssey. But there's also a couple other little weird stinkers out there that, you know, have relation to the mainline 3D Mario games that I'd like to talk about here. So this is definitely more of like just a spin-off, but it is technically a prequel to two 3D Mario games, depending on where you're playing this on. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is a prequel to Mario 3D World on the Wii U, which I always thought was really cute. You know, like, you have the Captain Toad stages in Mario 3D World, and then a year later, they released Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which is an entire game based on those stages. And then when you beat this game, there's a whole scene that plays that is showing, like, the opening cutscene of Mario 3D World. I always found it interesting, that cutscene, Mario doesn't speak in it, which I believe it was just their way of going, like, you know, I assume if, like, they played Charles Martinet's, like, Mario noises in anything, he would get, like, some payment. And they were just like, this is the only segment where this is playing, so, like, we're just gonna cut Mario's voice from here. And I think, like, the only characters that make any noise are, like, Toad, maybe Peach, which, I don't know, I just found that interesting. But yeah, I just thought the way that they kind of tied those two games together was neat. I think it was cool that this was a prequel, in fact, not just like a side game or a sequel or anything like that. I like the fact that this took place before 3D World. And it was even cooler that at the end of the game, you could get 3D World stages playable in Captain Toad. So yeah, I mean, like, this is obviously like a companion title to a mainline 3D Mario game. It is done by the same team, so, you know, it's a part of the family tree. But then we have the Nintendo Switch and 3DS versions of Captain Toad released in 2018, and for some reason, they decided to just completely change the lore, and at the end of those games, changed it so then Captain Toad on Switch and 3DS is a prequel to Super Mario Odyssey, which okay. Because in Mario Odyssey, you will find Captain Toad all throughout that game. You know, you'll probably find him in basically every kingdom, and he'll give you a power moon. So, you know, they changed it so then, oh, in the Switch version, you know, the extra levels are Odyssey-themed levels. And they removed the 3D World stages. Now, here's the thing. The 3D World stages were never great. They were genuinely just 3D World levels ripped from that game with random little platforms added throughout to make them playable by Captain Toad, who can't jump. That's his whole gimmick. So yeah, as like a cool little bonus to get at the end of that game, that was awesome. I thought it was so cute to see those stages get played by Captain Toad. You know, gameplay wise, they were fucking lame as hell. I don't want to play those again. So the Odyssey theme stages in the, you know, the re-release of Captain Toad, much better. They're actual levels. I just don't like that they removed the 3D World stages. As lame as they are, they're still cool. Oh, and you know what else is fucking weird? They did paid DLC for Captain Toad on Switch later down the line, which that came out of nowhere. If you want to talk about forgotten Mario things, how about the paid DLC pack of levels in Captain Toad Treasure Tracker on Nintendo Switch? And that DLC is connected to New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Because, like, it's all about, like, the Super Crown or whatever. The thing that turned fucking Toadette into that fucking thing. So, yeah, Captain Toad is just, like, this weird-ass glue for the entire Mario canon. It brings everything together. 3D World, Odyssey, New Super Mario Bros. U. I would honestly say this might be a more important member of the family than 3D Land was. Well, hey, how about Bowser's Fury? I wouldn't consider this to be a forgotten 3D Mario at all. Rather, I'm just kind of wondering, like, what the legacy of Bowser's Fury is going to be, if it ever will become a forgotten 3D Mario, because, you know, it is a mainline 3D Mario game. You know, it's just short as hell and included as a little bonus in the 3D World port. You know, these extra new side games are so weird because, like, I wonder, like, what is the legacy of them going to be? You know, you look at something like Sonic X Shadow Generations, and, you know, Shadow Generations is more meaty than something like, I'd say Sonic Forces. And that's a damn standalone game. But then you look at something like, I don't know, I guess Nintendo considers, you know, the Mario and Luigi 3DS remakes. Those had similar titles of like, oh, Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions. Okay, Bowser's Minions is considered its own brand new smaller game. That's on the same level as this? Hell no, man. I mean, Bowser's Fury is great. It's such a cool thing. But, you know, I just wonder what the legacy of it is going to be in the future. And I wonder if it's going to become one of the more forgotten 3D Marios, because, you know, it is its own game and it is its own mainline thing. But, like, you know, how much so is it? You know, is it really going to be a part of, like, mainline Mario moving forward? Is it really going to be like, you know, hey, that was a big thing for 3D Mario when Bowser's Fury released? You know, I just wonder. It's definitely interesting to think about. I mean, other than that, there's all the canceled games. You have something like Super Mario 128, which, I'm sorry, what the hell was this ever going to be other than a tech demo? While they were hyping up the GameCube, Nintendo showed off the Mario 128 tech demo, which just showed 128 Marios running around just doing shit. And it was said that the tech behind this game would later help to create Pikmin, you know, like all of those little characters running around. And, you know, there was a lot of spherical platforms in Mario 128. And, you know, that later went on to help the development of Mario Galaxy with all of its spherical planets you were walking around. I look back at this and I think, like, this was always a tech demo. It had to be. But for some reason, I just remember, like, seeing, like, all these interviews and just reports that, oh, Mario 128, it's coming, don't worry, it's coming. Like, Mario Sunshine release, and I think Miyamoto was like, hey, don't worry, that's not Mario 128. Mario 128 is still its own thing. I'm like, what the hell was it? Look at that tech demo again and tell me, what the hell is this game supposed to be? Obviously, they're kind of playing up the whole Mario 64 sequel. Oh, it's called Mario 128. But even the Mario 64 sequel that was actually in development was barely in development. Mario 64 2 was being developed for the 64 DD, and they didn't even get that far with it. Nothing ever came from it. I think the only major thing is like, yeah, it was meant to be like a multiplayer game. You know, you have Mario and Luigi in that game. Nothing, man. Nothing. Then there was VB Mario Land, which was going to be the Virtual Boy's big mainline Mario game. But even this isn't really 3D. It's stereoscopic 3D, and it's mostly just a 2D Mario side-scroller where you would then go into certain overhead segments. But that's definitely just a 2D Mario game in stereoscopic 3D, so no. Doesn't count. I covered most of the 3D Marios that who the hell is gonna remember. Games such as... what was it again?